I am trying to tell you something from my online status, but you are not paying attention. There was a time when I believed words were enough. I thought if I truly wanted someone to understand me, I could simply speak, explain what I felt, and everything would become clear. But life has shown me that not every feeling can be spoken aloud. Some emotions become too delicate for conversations, too vulnerable for direct confessions, and too difficult to place into ordinary sentences. That is why I started leaving pieces of myself in small places, hoping you would eventually notice them. You may think an online status is just a random sentence, a song lyric, a quote borrowed from somewhere, or a few words typed out because I had nothing better to do. But for me, those little updates became a language of their own. They became the safest place where I could speak honestly without having to face the fear of being ignored. Every time I changed my status, I wondered if you would read it. Every time you came online, I secretly hoped you would pause for a moment and ask yourself why those particular words appeared at that particular time. I never expected you to solve a mystery. I never expected you to understand everything immediately. I only wished that you would become curious enough to ask, "Are you trying to tell me something?" Because the answer would always have been yes. There were nights when I stayed awake much longer than I should have, staring at the screen while the rest of the world slept peacefully. I typed sentences and deleted them repeatedly. I wrote paragraphs and erased them within seconds. I wanted to message you directly. I wanted to say that I missed our conversations. I wanted to tell you that silence feels heavier when it comes from someone whose presence once made everything brighter. But instead of sending those thoughts to you, I placed them in my status. A line about waiting, a quote about distance, a sentence about pretending to be okay, and then I waited. I watched the small notification that showed you had been online. I saw you appear, I saw you disappear. Hours passed, days passed, nothing happened. You never mentioned the words. You never asked why I suddenly sounded different. You never questioned why someone who usually shared cheerful thoughts had begun posting messages filled with longing, uncertainty, and unanswered questions. At first, I convinced myself that maybe you simply did not see them. Perhaps you were busy. Perhaps you opened the app in a hurry. Perhaps your mind was occupied with responsibilities, work, family, or worries of your own. Told myself not to overthink, but then it happened again, and again, and again. Each status became another unopened letter. Each update felt like placing a bottle into the ocean and watching it drift farther away without ever reaching the shore. Do you know what hurts the most? It is not being misunderstood. It is feeling invisible to someone whose attention once seemed effortless. There was a period when you noticed everything. You remembered details I had forgotten mentioning. You asked questions before I even finished explaining my thoughts. You sensed changes in my mood from the way I typed a single sentence. Back then, I never needed hidden messages. Back then, a simple "How are you?" was enough for me to tell you everything. Now things are different. Now conversations feel shorter, replies feel delayed, words feel measured, and I cannot help wondering what changed. Did life become busier? Did feelings fade? Did priorities shift, or did we slowly drift apart without either of us realizing it? That uncertainty is what pushed me toward speaking through statuses, because direct conversations require courage, indirect messages only require hope, hope that someone will notice, hope that someone still cares enough to look closely, hope that someone still remembers the person behind the screen. Sometimes my status says, people often remain silent because they are tired of explaining what nobody understands. That is me. Sometimes it says, missing someone becomes exhausting when they have no idea they are being missed. That is also me. Sometimes it simply says, I wish someone could read what I never say. That, too, is me. None of those words were chosen accidentally. They were fragments of emotions I could not carry anymore. I was hoping you would connect them together. I imagined you sending a message asking if everything was all right. I imagined telling you the truth. I imagined finally admitting that I do not need grand gestures, dramatic promises, or endless conversations. I only need reassurance that I still matter. That I have not become another forgotten contact buried beneath hundreds of names, that our memories still mean something, that our connection still has a pulse, but instead, my statuses continue changing, and you continue scrolling. Perhaps you truly do not realize what I am trying to say. Perhaps hidden messages are unfair. People are not mind readers. People cannot always decode silent cries for attention. I understand that. Yet a small part of me still wishes you would notice, because noticing means caring. It means paying attention to details. It means recognizing when someone's smile begins to disappear. It means understanding that some people ask for help loudly while others whisper through tiny signs hoping someone will listen. I have become one of those people. Not because I enjoy games, not because I want to create confusion, but because vulnerability is terrifying. Opening your heart directly means risking rejection. It means hearing words you never wanted to hear. It means discovering that someone you thought was emotionally close may actually be emotionally distant, and honestly, I am not sure I am ready for that truth, so I remain here, posting another status, changing another sentence, waiting another day, wondering if today will finally be the day you stop scrolling long enough to understand that every word has been written for a reason, not to pressure you, not to make you feel guilty, not to demand attention, only to remind you that someone has been speaking to you for a very long time without ever mentioning your name, and perhaps one day, you will look back at all those statuses and realize they were never random at all. They were conversations waiting for a response. They were unsent messages disguised as quotes. They were confessions wrapped inside ordinary words. They were my way of saying that I still think about you, that I still wonder how your day was, that I still remember old conversations, that I still smile at memories nobody else knows about, and that despite everything, a part of me continues hoping that you will finally understand what I have been trying to tell you all along.